Hi, welcome back to Susan's Kitchen Corner. On today's episode, we're going to be making tacos, my favorite food. And there's a lot of different ways to make tacos. If you want, you can use canned beans. This is Rosarita, vegetarian style. I like to use it when I don't have any homemade beans. And if you have homemade beans, those work equally as well. You don't have to smash them, just leave them whole. And you can add soup, if you have any soup broth, you can add the soup broth to the beans when you reheat them, and it gives a little bit more of a kick, and just a little bit. And if you're going to smash them, I'm going to use pork, about a pound of pork. You don't have to use pork. You can use beef. You can use turkey. It's all the same. You cook it all the same. You chop, 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 chop. You watch it until it no more pink, and I'll show you. And then if you want, you can make homemade corn tortillas. I have a video for homemade corn tortillas, but I'm going to use Mission. And because not everyone is out there is going to want to do everything homemade. You know, if you want to go homemade, I have a video for homemade corn tortillas. I have a video for homemade beans. I don't have a video for homemade pork, so I don't think I can do that unless I have a ranch, and I'm sure you don't want to see me slaughter a pig and make homemade pork, so we're not going to go there. But there probably is videos out there. So when you get your corn tortillas, make sure that, give them a good look over, that they're not split down the middle, because you know when they're split down the middle, they're harder to make into the tortilla. Now, I'm going to be cooking these flat, and you're like, well, wait a minute, that's not a taco. Well, in my family, you go in the store and you can get the pre-made tacos that are already deep fried and they already hold their shape. Well, what happens when you fold them flat ways? It's still crunchy, it's still a taco. So that's the way our family's always eaten them, and that's the way I'm going to make them. So if you're like looking at me going, wait a minute, what the hell is she doing? She's making a tostada. Tostada folded up is a taco. Tostada, taco, taco, tostada. Get the flat curve. Okay, they're the same thing. They're the same crunch. If you want to use a curved one, that's great. I'm not going to stop you, but I tend to like flat. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, you're going to need 1 onion. You can use, you're probably thinking, okay, well, I got a pound of meat. I like to use a whole onion. It gives it a lot of flavor. If you want to use half of the onion, you're like, whoa, that's way too much onion for me. Use half an onion. I like garlic. I like a lot of garlic. I like about 3 cloves of garlic in my 3 minutes and 19 seconds. I'm just looking at the timer because I do tend to talk a lot. So I like garlic. I like avocado too, and I don't like doing anything to my avocado. I just peel it, cut it up, put it right on plain. Don't make it into guacamole. If you want to make it into guacamole, you can. I like it all natural. Now I'm making tacos for 2 people, so 2 Roma tomatoes. And okay, seasoning. You can make your own homemade seasoning if you want. You can go out and find similar ingredients, and then you won't get all the other stuff you might not like. But I'm doing it both ways because not a lot of people can do homemade stuff. It's like you have to take everything in moderation. You do with what you have. I mean, money wise. So, okay. So what I'm going to use. This is good. It's mild taco seasoning, and I got the 30% less sodium because these things are filled with sodium. And I'm going to be using, let's see, about 5 scoops. And even though these are in little packages, I'm going to open them up and do 5 tablespoons. Okay, well, let's get started. This is going to be, let's bring the, let's put the meat back into the refrigerator so it doesn't walk off. And we're going to put the pan over here for a minute. And we're going to cut this onion. So, voila. Okay. Oh, where's the, there's the onion. And let's get a knife out. You can see what I'm doing. Cut the top off. Oh, where's my little bucket? Always have something nearby. So you're, chuck that in. The little garbage pail, so your counter doesn't get messed up. Cut the back off. And just hit it just like that. Then peel it. And start crying. Some of these are really, really tearful and some of them aren't, so it depends. And get that off. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to cut this in half. Try to keep on that line. Then we're going to cut it in half again. Now we have, stay in there, we have 2 halves, like that. We're going to cut this, if it's on its side, cut that in half. Okay, put that back inside. It's going to stay. Now this isn't really a stable, this isn't really a stable surface, but I'll do the best I can. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut down, but well, I just hit the bottom. But we're trying not to hit the, we're trying to just cut down, try not to hit the bottom, and put your finger here. Watch your fingers. Push it down. Hold it in place. And if it hits the cutting board, it's okay, but as long as the onion stays together. And again, watch the fingers. We're not making finger tacos. Okay. This isn't as strong, probably a second one. Okay, now what we're going to do, now this is a little bit different from what I cut the last time, because I did more of a, I have 2 versions. I have like the lazy chop 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 version, like, you know, you don't want to do the whole culinary thing. So there's many different ways to cut an onion. Sometimes you just chop away, and then what you do is you hold it real good, and then you make little tiny squares. I have a trick at the end. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see what happens. You get here and you're like, oh gosh, well, hey, I can't cut anymore. Well, flip it on its side, or try to flip it on its side, and then cut down like that. And it's gonna move around, so don't panic and go, oh, they're all uneven. And just because this one is it doesn't matter what shape or how perfect or it doesn't, there's no, just chop it the best you can. And just chop away. And if there's a big piece in there, it's okay, it'll all cook down. And if you want to use a half of one, go for it. So let's put that in our pan. And under. Slide it in. Okay, that's one. Okay, and I guess I'll do this a little different to show you that you don't have to do it like that. You can go crazy. Let's just chop this thing up. If you had a bad day at work and you're, let's just chop. It might fly around a little bit, but of course it's going to fly a little bit around a little bit more on this thing, so let's just keep on chopping. Like, okay, I just saw what you did, and I'm like, that does not look easy. So let's just do the maniac chopping here. And when you chop, square it on the cutting board. Yeah, I don't want that piece in there. So this is the chaotic maniac chopping. And okay, this again, I do not have a stable thing, so it's gonna fly around. This is perfectly okay, and just keep on chopping until you're like, oh wait, it doesn't have to look like perfect. I mean, well, this is not perfect, but It doesn't have to be. If you want to stop right here and you're like, oh, that looks fine, go for it. If you want to keep on chopping a little bit more. So when you chop onions, square it. Make it into a square and chop. Then it's going to fly all around. It's going to fly off the cutting board. Square it again. Chop, 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 chop. Square it again. Okay, that looks about good. And I didn't do any of the fancy smanchy stuff, well, what I did with this one, so it still does the same thing. So let's scoot that in. Okay. Let's do the garlic. And when you have a garlic head, you want to take the knife, put it flat, and then, well, let me do this on the table, because that's not going to work, but you want to smash it. Just kind of hit it, and then it'll break apart. Let's get 3 good bulbs there. As you can see, I love my garlic, so I have plenty of garlic all the time around. Okay, let's get a smaller knife. Bring this back over here. And cut the ends off. And when you cut the ends off, you can peel all that paper back. Garlic paper. There's one. Garlic's almost the same way. Now, if it's really hard to cut, and cut it like that. If you don't like doing what I'm doing, cut it different. Do with what you most are, cut it the way you feel most comfortable. Okay, there's 2. Oh, I got 2 here. Okay, after I get done chopping the garlic, what we're going to do is we are going to watch the timer. Well, I'm going to watch the timer. Okay, we got 3. Okay, put that one back. Let's scoot that into the trash. Chop it up. And you see how it rocks like that? You want to put it down so it just stays. Now if you got one that's a little bit roly-poly, like put the where it's flat mostly. Just make little slivers or chips. And watch those fingers. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is chop these up and make a new video. Okay, see you in a bit.